The night was not quiet. It was alive with the sound of heavy machines. The harvesters moved across the black fields like monsters of steel. Their blades turned bright under the cold moons. Sparks flew as they cut through the soil and the crops. It was not a place for the weak. Not a place for mercy. She lay on the ground. Bound with rough ropes, her wrists burned from the tight knots. Her breath came sharp and fast. Her eyes searched the dark sky as if the stars could give her help. But no help came from the stars. The ground shook under the weight of the harvester's steps. Dust rose in the air, each step was closer. Around her stood others. Their faces were hidden in shadows. They did not speak, they only watched. Their silence was louder than any word. They had chosen to leave her. They had chosen not to care. They turned their backs one by one, walking away before the blades reached her. The harvester's light scanned across the field. They painted her body in white glow. She flinched, her heart jumping. The light moved on, but it would return. She knew it would return. A lone figure stood farther back. Away from the group, his eyes locked on her. His hands shook with anger. He was human, not one of them. His heart pounded in his chest as he watched the scene. Every step the harvester took felt like a countdown. Each second stretched like an hour, he whispered under his breath. Why is no one helping her? The others ignored him. They walked faster, as if they feared his words would chain them. He clenched his fists. The human could not accept it. He could not turn his back. His people had always been told not to interfere, not to risk their lives for others, but he was not like them. Something in him burned, stronger than fear. The harvester screamed as its blade spun faster. The sound tore through the air, her scream joined it, a cry of pure terror. The ropes held her down as the dust and light swallowed her. He could not watch anymore. His feet moved before his mind could stop him. He broke into a run. His shadow stretched across the ground as the harvester's lights caught him. He felt the heat of the blades in the distance. He felt the soil breaking under the machine's weight. The crowd gasped. Some shouted for him to stop. But their voices were weak. They had no power over him now. He ran faster, his legs pushing against the heavy earth. His heart roared in his chest. He dropped to his knees beside her. Her eyes widened in shock. She could not believe anyone had come. He pulled at the ropes, they cut into his skin. The fibers fought against his hands, but he pulled harder. His teeth gritted, his arms burned. The harvester changed direction. Its light focused on them. The machine screamed again, blades spinning like the jaws of a beast. Dust shot into the air. The ground cracked. Time felt thin. The rope snapped, her arms were free. He pulled her up with all his strength. She stumbled, her legs weak. But he did not let her fall. He dragged her to her feet. The harvester was almost on them. Its shadow swallowed them both. Her voice was a whisper, broken and dry. Why did you help me? His answer was sharp, full of fire. Because no one else would. The crowd had stopped walking. They turned to watch, their faces pale under the moonlight. They waited for the machine to cut both of them down. The human looked at the harvester. The giant machine towered above them. Its blades flashed like hungry teeth, but he stood his ground, holding her hand, refusing to step away. The machine paused. Its light scanned him. A strange hum filled the field, almost as if the harvester was thinking, almost as if it was alive. The silence was deep. The dust floated in the air. Her breathing was fast against his chest. His heartbeat thundered, and then with a low growl, the harvester moved again. Its blades spun, closing the distance. The ground shook so hard that both of them almost fell. He tightened his grip, his jaw hard, his eyes locked on the giant machine. He would not run, he would not leave her. Not now, not ever, the crowd whispered from the distance. Fool, he will die, both will die, but the human did not care. He had already made his choice, and the moment he made it, the world itself seemed to change. The night was no longer quiet, it was alive with defiance. The harvesters roared, but so did his heart. And the story of one human against the blades had just begun. The harvester's light swept across the field again. The ground shook as its giant legs slammed into the soil. The blades spun faster, glowing red at the edges like fire from another world. Each second was louder, sharper, and closer. The woman was still weak, her legs trembled. Her breath came in broken gasps. She clung to the human's arm, but he held her steady. His grip was strong, his eyes fixed on the giant machine. The crowd had not left. They stood frozen at a distance. Their faces pale, they whispered to each other. But none stepped forward, none dared to follow. The harvester stopped just a few steps away. Its shadow swallowed them, its blade hummed, the air grew hot. The human raised his hand as if daring the machine. His body shook, but his feet did not move. He shouted, his voice carrying through the dust, "If you want her, you'll have to take me too." The machine did not answer, but the overseers did from the far edge of the field. Tall alien figures appeared. Their skin glowed faintly blue under the moons. Their armor shimmered like liquid glass. Their voices cut through the night, sharp and cold. "You do not interfere," one of them called. His voice was filled with command. His words were heavy, not a suggestion but a law. The human did not move. He pulled the woman closer. Shielding her with his body, he shouted back, "She was left to die. You bound her and walked away. That is no law I will follow," the overseers hissed. A strange ripple passed across their armor. The crowd bowed their heads, afraid to meet their gaze. But the human raised his chin higher, defiance burning in his eyes. The woman looked up at him, her lips trembled. Her eyes were wide. She whispered, "You should run. They will kill you. They will kill us both." He shook his head slowly, his jaw tight. His voice steady even against the roar of the harvester. "No. If I run, then I am like them. And I will never be like them." The overseer stepped closer. The ground around them glowed as their boots pressed into the soil. One of them lifted a weapon, long and sharp like a spear of light. It pulsed in his hand, humming with deadly energy. "You have broken the line," the overseer said. "One life was to be taken. Now 2 will be taken." The human's heart raced, but he did not step back. He looked at the machine, then at the woman, then at the crowd who refused to move. His voice thundered in the night. "Then you will learn something tonight. You will learn that a human does not walk away." The harvester screamed. A mechanical roar shook the fields. Its blade spun so fast that sparks filled the air. The dust storm grew stronger. The crowd covered their faces. The woman clung tighter to him, but she whispered something strange. Something quiet. "They fear you. That is why they are warning you." "Not killing you at once," he frowned. Her words hit him like a hidden key. Why would such powerful beings give warnings? Why would they hesitate? The overseers shouted, ordering the harvester forward. But the machine paused, its lights focused on him, scanning him from head to toe. A deep hum rose in the field, low and endless, almost like a question, almost like the harvester itself was unsure. The woman's lips brushed his ear as she whispered again, "They want me dead because I know the truth." The human tightened his grip on her arm. His eyes narrowed, his voice low but full of steel. "Then we'll make sure they never silence you." The overseer raised his spear of light higher. A beam flashed in the air, burning the soil where they had stood just seconds ago. The human dragged her aside, rolling across the dirt. Heat licked his back, the ground smoked. The crowd gasped, some screamed, but still none moved. They only watched as if trapped between fear and awe. The human pulled her up again, his body covered in dust and sweat. He spat dirt from his mouth and shouted, "If you want to kill her, you will have to go through me first," the overseers hissed. A strange clicking sound came from their throats. Their eyes glowed brighter. Their weapons hummed with power. The harvester growled again. Its blades lowered like jaws ready to bite. The air shook with its power. The woman leaned closer to him and whispered one last time, "They cannot fully control it. That is why they fear. That is why they need me gone." The human's eyes widened. He looked at the machine again, at the way it paused, the way it almost seemed alive. His chest filled with fire, his voice was loud. His words cut through the night. "Then we will not run. We will show them what it means when one human stands." The harvester roared. The overseers raised their weapons, the crowd cried out. The field turned into a storm of dust and sparks, and in the center of it all stood one human and one bound woman. 2 lives against an empire, 1 choice against the blades, and the night was no longer silent, it was filled with defiance. The dust still hung in the air, glowing under the light of the harvester. The woman coughed, pulling her cloak tighter. Her eyes flicked from the machine to the overseers. Fear lived in her voice, but something else too, something darker. The human stood in front of her. His chest heaved, sweat dripped from his brow. His fists stayed tight. His eyes never left the harvester's shadow. The crowd still lingered far away. Their whispers drifted like smoke. "He is mad, he will die. Why does he fight for her?" The overseers lowered their weapons but did not strike again. Their glowing eyes shifted toward the harvester, waiting as if even they were unsure. The machine had paused once more. Its blades hummed, its legs dug into the soil, but it did not advance. The silence pressed heavy. The woman leaned closer to the human, her lips dry, her whisper trembling. "You think they build these machines? You think they control them? But you are wrong," the human frowned. His eyes narrowed, his voice low but sharp. "What do you mean?" She lifted her hand weakly. Pointing at the harvester, her fingers shook. But her words carried weight. "That is no machine. That is alive." His chest tightened. He wanted to reject it, but the thought clawed into his mind. The way the harvester paused, the way it scanned him, the way its roar sounded more like anger than gears. All of it felt too real, too alive. The crowd gasped when her words reached them. Some shook their heads, some spat in the dirt. They shouted, "Lies, silence her, she wants to bring ruin. She is cursed." The overseers stepped forward quickly. Their armor gleamed in the moonlight. One raised his weapon toward her, his voice like a blade. "Speak no more. You know what is forbidden?" The human moved at once, blocking her with his body. His eyes burned like fire. "If you fear her words, then her words must be true," the overseer hissed. His weapon hummed brighter. "Ignorant human. You stand in shadows you do not understand." The harvester growled, the ground trembling under its weight. Its lights flickered as if stirred by the argument. The woman's voice rose louder. "Desperate. They do not control it. They feed it. They use it. But they do not command it." The human's heart pounded. He looked at her with shock. "Feed it, what do you mean?" Her voice broke but carried truth. "It feeds on more than crops, it feeds on life." "On us," the crowd cried out. Some covered their mouths. Others turned and began to run. The overseers shouted after them. But fear spread faster than command. The truth had cracked open. The harvester's legs dug deeper into the soil. Its blades whirred faster, sparks rained down. The overseers exchanged quick, nervous looks for the first time. The human saw something in their eyes. Not power, not pride, but fear, he whispered to himself, his voice trembling with both rage and wonder. "These are not tools, these are monsters." The woman nodded weakly. Her voice cracked. "Long ago, they came to our world, they promised harvest, food, wealth, but it was a lie. They brought the harvesters. They chained us, made us servants, and when we learned their secret, they silenced us one by one." The overseer shouted, cutting through her words. "Enough, she is marked for death, that is why she was bound. That is why none must listen." But the human turned, his voice sharp as steel. "If she is marked, then so am I." The overseers stiffened. Their weapons raised, the harvester leaned closer. Its shadow darker, its hum louder. The woman clutched the human's arm, whispering fast, "You must understand. It is not just a machine, it has a mind, it knows fear, and it fears rebellion." The human's heart roared. He stared at the harvester, and for a moment, he swore he felt its gaze staring back. Not lights, not sensors, but eyes. Cold and hungry, the overseers advanced, their weapons glowed. The crowd had scattered into the night, leaving only the few brave enough to watch from far away. The woman pulled herself to her feet, her body still weak, but her voice louder. "Listen to me, if we do not fight now, we will be nothing more than food for them. They will strip this world until nothing is left. The harvest never ends." The human turned toward her, his jaw tight, his eyes fierce. "Then we fight!" The overseers hissed. Their voices blended with the roar of the harvester. The ground shook harder, a storm of dust rose around them. The machine bent lower, its blades inches from the soil, spinning faster. The human's body was small under its shadow, but he stood tall, his arms wide, guarding her. His voice thundered, "You may have blades, you may have soldiers, but tonight you will face something you do not understand. Tonight you face a human who will not walk away." The overseers stepped back slightly, their weapons still raised, but their movement slower. The harvester screeched, the air cracked like lightning. It was not only anger, it was pain, as if the truth she spoke had cut into its very being. The woman's eyes glowed with a fire that had been hidden under fear. She whispered to him one last time, "You see now, you feel it. They can be broken." The human nodded, his chest heavy with defiance, his voice low but sharp. "Then we will break them," the overseers cried out. Their weapons raised high. The harvester lunged forward. Dust swallowed the field, sparks cut the sky. And in that storm of noise and fire, one truth was no longer hidden. The harvesters were alive, and they were afraid. The field did not stay silent after the truth was spoken. The overseers shouted commands. their glowing weapons raised high. The harvesters roared in answer, their blades spinning faster than storms. Sparks flew across the night sky, turning darkness into fire. The human pulled the woman close. His muscles burned, but his grip stayed strong. He knew what was coming. He could see it in the way the overseers moved back, not forward, letting the harvesters take the lead. The ground cracked open as the first harvester lunged forward. Its metal legs slammed down with thunder. Soil exploded around them. The woman stumbled, her weak legs giving way, but the human lifted her against his side, forcing his body to carry both their weight. The crowd was gone now, scattered into the night. None dared stay. Fear drove them away, leaving only the overseers and the monsters they had unleashed. The human ran, his boots pounded against the dirt. His breath tore from his chest. He could feel the harvester behind him, each step shaking the ground like a hammer. The woman clung to him, whispering between gasps, "Faster. We must reach the woods," but the woods were far. The fields stretched endless under the moons, and the harvesters were faster. One swung its blades low. The air split open. Soil and stone flew high. The human dove to the ground, rolling with the woman in his arms. The blades missed them by a breath, slicing a trench where they had stood. The human coughed as dust filled his lungs. His eyes stung, his muscles screamed. But he pulled her back to her feet. He shouted, "We can't stop." "We move." They ran again, the harvester screamed. It sounded like metal tearing metal. Another machine joined from the far edge of the field, its legs cutting deep into the ground. Its shadow merging with the first, the woman's eyes widened, her voice trembling. "Two of them, they will trap us." The human's heart pounded. Sweat poured down his face, but his mind raced faster than his feet. He scanned the field and saw a broken ridge, where the soil dropped into a lower path, a chance slim but real. He turned sharply, dragging her with him. The harvesters adjusted, their heads lowering, lights scanning, blades whirring. They roared as they shifted direction, chasing him into the ridge. The ground shook harder now. Dust turned the air into smoke. Each step of the harvesters was louder than thunder. The woman shouted, "They never stop, they never tire, they are alive. Alive and hungry." The human's legs burned, his chest screamed for air, but he would not slow. He had made his choice, and choices had weight. The ridge loomed closer, a drop of stone and soil, a fall that could break them. But behind them was death. He gritted his teeth. His voice cut through the storm. "Hold on!" They leapt. The ground disappeared beneath them. For a moment they flew, their bodies weightless in the night. Then they crashed onto the lower path. Rolling hard, dust and pain swallowed them. The woman cried out as the earth tore at her skin. The human's shoulder cracked against stone, but they were alive. Above, the harvesters screeched in fury. Their massive legs slammed against the ridge's edge. Soil crumbled under their weight. But they did not fall. Instead, they adjusted, their light shining down into the lower path, searching. The human pulled the woman up again, his voice hoarse. "Move before they find a way down." The path was narrow. Dark, the walls rose high on both sides. It felt like a grave, but it also gave cover. And for now, cover meant life. They stumbled forward. The sound of the harvesters above followed them. Each metallic scream echoed off the stone. Dust rained down as their legs tore the ridge apart. The woman clutched his arm, her voice urgent. "They will not give up. Not until we are gone." The human nodded, his jaw set. "Then we won't give them the chance." Ahead, the path twisted. A dark opening yawned at its end, an old shaft leading underground. The air from it was cold and wet, carrying the smell of roots and stone. The woman's eyes widened. The tunnels, they lead deep. They connect the whole field. The harvesters shrieked above. One slammed its leg down hard. The earth cracked. Stones fell like rain around them. The ridge shook as if it would collapse. The human tightened his grip on her hand, his voice a growl of fire. "Then we go where they cannot follow." They stumbled into the shaft, just as the ridge gave way behind them. Soil and stone crashed down. The harvesters howled, their blades cutting the air above, but the humans were gone. Swallowed by the earth, the tunnel was black. The sound of the harvesters still roared from above, but here in the dark it felt distant. The human pressed his hand against the stone. Breathing hard, his chest burned, but his eyes shone with defiance. The woman leaned against him, her voice soft. "You risked everything to save me, why?" He looked at her, dirt covering his face, his voice steady. "Because no one else would, and because your truth is now mine." She stared at him, her eyes wide with both fear and hope. For the first time, she did not feel abandoned. Above, the harvesters shrieked, their voices like storms. Their blades spun, their legs tore the ridge, but they could not reach the tunnels. They could not silence what had already been spoken, and so the pursuit did not end. It only changed. The hunt moved underground. The tunnel swallowed them. Darkness pressed in from all sides. The sound of the collapsing ridge echoed behind them, soil and stone falling like thunder. Above, the harvesters roared, their metal screams shaking the night. But the noise felt distant now, muffled by earth. The human held the woman's hand. Guiding her forward, his other hand brushed the wall. Rough and damp. The air was cold, heavy with the smell of roots and soil. Water dripped somewhere deeper, slow and steady. Each drop a reminder of how far they had fallen from the surface. The woman's breath came fast, but she forced herself to speak. These tunnels, they are older than the harvesters, older than the overseers. They were dug by my people long ago. When we still had freedom, the human frowned, his voice low but steady. Freedom? What happened to it? Her eyes glistened in the dim glow of strange moss on the walls, soft and pale. We trusted them. The overseers came with promises. They said the harvesters would feed us, protect us, but instead they fed on us. And when some of us learned the truth, we built these tunnels to hide, to resist. The human ran his fingers across the glowing moss. It pulsed faintly under his touch, alive. The tunnels themselves felt like veins of the earth, carrying light and sound. And now these tunnels are all that remain, he muttered. The woman nodded. Many died here. Some survived. Some still hide in the deep, waiting, hoping. But hope is thin. A shiver crawled across his spine. Not only from her words, but from the sound ahead. A faint hum, deep and low, like the echo of the harvesters, but not the same. This sound was older, heavier, alive in a different way. He stopped, holding her back. Do you hear it? She listened. Her eyes widened. Fear flashed across her face. Yes, the heart of the tunnels. We are close to it. The hum grew louder with each step. The walls shook softly as if breathing. The glowing moss grew thicker. Spreading like veins, the air grew warmer. Each drop of water that fell now hissed as if striking something alive. The human's jaw tightened, his voice sharp. What is this place? The woman's lips trembled. It is the root. The harvesters are not just machines of metal. They are born from something. They are connected here. This is where they grow. He froze. His chest tightened, his eyes scanning the walls. And now he saw it. Shapes buried in the stone. Not just roots, but bones of metal, twisted and fused with the earth. Half-grown harvester limbs stuck in the rock. Silent but waiting, he whispered, almost to himself. They do not build them. They breed them. The woman nodded slowly, her face pale. Yes, and as long as this heart beats, the harvest never ends. The hum deepened. A pulse ran through the tunnel. Dust fell from the ceiling. The earth shuddered as if it had heard her words. The human tightened his grip on her hand. Then we stop it. Her eyes widened. Fear warred with hope. You do not understand. No one has ever stopped it. Many tried. None returned. He looked back toward the way they had come. The overseers above, the harvesters tearing the ridge apart. Waiting for them to surface, his voice hard. Then we do not go back. We finish what they could not. They moved deeper. The hum grew louder. The moss now glowed brighter. Lighting the path with a sickly green, shadows twisted across the walls. Some looked like faces, others like claws. The air pressed heavy on their chests. Then they heard it, footsteps echoing behind them. Not the metallic pound of harvesters, but lighter, faster. The human spun, his body tense. Figures stepped from the shadows. Thin, pale, eyes wide and hollow, survivors. People who had lived in the tunnels for years. Their clothes ragged. Their hands gripping crude weapons made of bone and scrap. The woman gasped, "My people!" But the survivors did not smile, did not welcome. Their voices were low, broken. You brought the overseers with you. You will lead the harvesters here. The human raised his hands, his voice calm but strong. No, we ran from them. We fight them. We seek the heart. The survivors froze at his words. Their eyes flicked to the woman. The heart, you want to touch it. You want to die with it? The woman stepped forward weakly, her voice shaking but full of fire. No, we want to end it. If it falls, the overseers lose their chains. The harvesters lose their grip. A silence hung. Then one of the survivors lowered his weapon. His voice cracked but carried hope. Many promise that all failed, but if you can do it, if you truly can, then we will guide you. The human nodded, his voice steady. Then guide us and stand ready, because tonight, the harvest ends. The survivors moved ahead. Leading them deeper, the hum now thundered like a heartbeat. The walls shook harder. Dust fell like rain. The moss glowed so bright it felt like fire. The woman clutched the human's arm, whispering, "Do you feel it? The heart knows we are coming." He looked ahead, his eyes sharp, his jaw set. "Good. Let it feel fear for once," and in the tunnels of stone and root, they marched toward the living heart of the harvesters where no one had ever returned. The tunnels shook with every heartbeat of the earth. The hum grew louder, deeper, filling their bones. It was not sound anymore, it was a presence. The heart of the harvesters was close, and it knew they were coming. The survivors led the way through twisting passages. Their torches burned with weak flames, their eyes glowed faint in the moss light. They moved like shadows that had lived too long in the dark. Silent but watchful, the human followed close behind. The woman leaned on his arm, still weak. But her steps grew stronger with each stride. Her eyes burned with something new. Not just fear, but purpose. One of the survivors, an old man with scars across his face, finally spoke. His voice was rough like stone. "No human has ever come here. No outsider dared enter this deep."
"Why do you risk your life for her?" The human kept walking.
His voice steady. "Because she was left to die, and because I cannot walk away from the truth." The old man studied him for a moment, then nodded. "Perhaps that is what we needed. Someone who refuses to turn their back." They reached a wide chamber. The ceiling rose high. Roots hung down like black ropes. The moss glowed brighter here, bathing the place in sickly green light. Crude shelters lined the walls. The survivors had lived here for years, hiding under the very veins of their enemy. Children peeked from the shadows, thin and pale, their eyes wide with both fear and curiosity. Women with hollow faces pulled them back, whispering warnings. But their stares lingered on the stranger who walked with fire in his step. The woman raised her voice, calling out to them, "Do not fear, we bring change, we bring defiance." Her words echoed in the chamber. The survivors murmured, some shook their heads, others clenched their fists. The air filled with a hunger they had buried too long. The human stepped forward, his voice thundered against the stone. "The harvesters are alive, but they are not gods. They bleed, they fear, they can be broken, and if they can be broken, then so can the overseers who chain us." The chamber fell into silence. Every eye locked on him. The hum of the heart pulsed around them. Like it too was listening. Then a young survivor shouted, "We have no weapons, no strength, what can we fight with?" The human's eyes blazed, his voice sharp. "You fight with what they fear most, unity. They rule because you are divided. They feed because you stay silent, but if you rise together, you become something they cannot control." The woman raised her trembling hands. "I carry knowledge they tried to bury. The heart that feeds the harvesters is not untouchable. There is a way to strike it. A way to end the harvest." Gasps filled the chamber. Some survivors fell to their knees. Others pressed hands to their mouths. For years they had whispered of such things, but none dared believe. The old man stepped forward, his eyes wet with fire. "If this is true, if we strike the heart, then we end their reign." The woman nodded. "Yes, but we cannot do it alone. We need all of you. We need every hand, every voice." The human raised his fist. His voice thundered, "Then rise with us. Tonight we stop running. Tonight we fight." A roar filled the chamber, weak at first, then stronger. The survivors cried out, voices echoing through the tunnels. Some beat their chests, some raised their crude weapons. Hope spread like fire through dry wood. The children peeked again, not with fear this time, but with wide eyes filled with something new, belief. The old man turned to the human. "We will guide you to the heart, but know this, if you fail, all of us will die." The human nodded, his jaw tight. "Then we do not fail." The march began. Survivors gathered torches, crude blades, even stones, anything they could carry. The tunnels filled with footsteps, the hum of the heart growing louder with each step. The woman leaned close to the human, whispering, "Do you hear it? It grows restless. It knows we are coming." He looked straight ahead, his eyes hard. "Good. Let it tremble." Above them, the overseers shouted in the night. The harvesters roared, slamming their blades into the soil, searching for those who had vanished underground. They could not see, but they felt it. Something had changed. The order of fear was breaking deep below. The survivors carried their fire toward the heart. Their voices rose in chants, rough and uneven but strong. No more harvest. No more chains. The human marched at the front, the woman at his side. Together they led not just a rebellion, but the first rising of hope in generations. And as the tunnels shook with the heartbeat of the harvest, so too did they shake with the heartbeat of defiance. A storm was coming, not of machines, but of people. The overseers had power, the harvesters had blades, but now the survivors had something greater. They had unity, they had fire. They had one human who refused to walk away, and the rising had begun. The tunnels shook as the survivors marched. Their chants echoed against stone. No more harvest. No more chains. The fire of their voices reached deeper than the overseers had ever feared. The human walked at the front, the woman at his side. The hum of the heart grew louder, faster, like a drum of war. The walls pulsed with strange light, moss glowing brighter until it lit their faces with green fire. At last the path opened into a vast chamber. The ceiling rose like the belly of a beast. Roots as thick as towers spread across the walls, glowing and twitching as if alive. At the center pulsed the heart, a massive living core, metal fused with flesh. Blades half-formed curled from its sides, beating in rhythm with the earth. The survivors froze, their eyes wide. Some whispered prayers. Others gripped their crude weapons tighter. The human stared at it, his jaw set, his voice low but steady. "So this is where it begins," the woman nodded weakly, her voice trembling. "This is where it feeds. If we strike it, we break the chain. But it will fight, it will call the harvesters. It will not die quietly." Even as she spoke, the chamber shook, the walls split. From tunnels above, overseers poured in, their glowing armor shining like fire. Their weapons hummed with deadly light. Their voices thundered. "You will not touch the heart," the survivors cried out. Fear cut through them. But the human stepped forward, raising his fist. His voice roared across the chamber. "Stand and fight, do not bow. Tonight the harvest ends." The overseers raised their weapons. Beams of light sliced through the dark. The survivors ducked and scattered. The chamber exploded in chaos. The human grabbed a fallen spear. Its blade cracked but sharp enough. He charged into the overseers, his body moving faster than fear. He struck steel against glowing armor. Sparks burst as the blade scraped across. He forced one back, then another. His roar filled the chamber. The woman raised her hands toward the heart. Her voice chanted words long forbidden. The roots twitched, the hum faltered. The overseers screamed, rushing toward her. But the survivors threw themselves in their path. Men and women with nothing but stone and bone faced the glowing weapons of their masters. They fell, but others rose. Their cries of rage shook the chamber. For the first time in years, they did not hide, they fought. The heart pulsed faster. The harvesters above screamed in answer. Their metal legs slammed against the earth. Dust and stone fell from the ceiling. The entire chamber trembled as if the world itself was at war. The human fought like fire. His body cut and bruised, but his arms never stopped. His blade broke. But he seized another weapon. He tore it from the hands of a fallen overseer and swung it with fury. The woman's voice grew louder. Her chant echoed with power. The heart screamed. Its veins of metal cracked. Sparks and black liquid burst from its surface. The chamber filled with a foul stench. An overseer broke through the line. Rushing toward her, his weapon raised, the human saw it, his eyes burned. He ran with all his strength, throwing himself between them. The beam cut across his arm, searing flesh, but he did not fall. He slammed the overseer down with his last strength. The woman's eyes filled with tears. But she did not stop, her voice rose higher. The harvest ends, the chain breaks. The heart dies. The core split open, a scream tore through the chamber. Not human, not machine, but alive. The harvesters above shrieked, their cries shaking the earth. Their blades stopped mid-spin. Their legs buckled, the overseers froze. Their glowing armor flickered. Their weapons dimmed. Panic filled their eyes for the first time. They felt what they had given to others, fear. The survivors roared, seizing their chance, they struck. They drove the overseers back, stone and steel clashed. Blood and sparks filled the air. The human stumbled, his body broken but his spirit burning. He raised his voice one last time. "Do not stop. End them now." The survivors surged forward. Their cries shook the chamber. The overseers fell one by one. Some fled into the tunnels, their power shattered. Their rule broken. The heart collapsed, its glow fading, its hum silenced. The ground steadied. The screams of the harvesters above faded into nothing. Silence fell heavy and deep. The survivors looked around, their eyes wide, their chests heaving. For the first time in generations, they stood free. The woman sank to her knees beside the human, her hands trembling as she touched his shoulder. "You saved me, you saved all of us," he smiled weakly, his eyes heavy but burning with pride. "No, we saved ourselves, you, me, all of us." Together, the survivors gathered around them. Their voices rose, not in fear but in victory. Children cried, but it was not the cry of hunger or pain. It was the cry of freedom. The woman looked at the fallen heart, her voice low, filled with awe. "They left me to die, they left us all to die." But one human refused to walk away, and that changed everything. The chamber glowed with the last embers of the moss, soft and gentle, no hum, no blades, no chains, only silence. And in that silence, hope was born. The final stand had ended, but the story of the rising had just begun.